Well, hey everybody! Today we're going to make crunchy casserole. I found this in our family cookbook. My mom used to make this all the time when I was a kid, and it was like a special thing when we had company or took it to the church suppers, that kind of thing. Now, in the family cookbook, it was attributed to my Aunt Betty, so I'm going to call it Betty's Crunchy Casserole. Now, this is interesting. I was going through my Aunt Lil's recipes. She was a lady that came to our motel when I was a little kid. And we called them Aunt Lil and Uncle Dick because they treated us just like their kids or grandchildren. They even had our dog over in the motel room with them whenever they came because he loved them. Anyways, I found this recipe handwritten in her recipes. And it wasn't in her handwriting. And actually it had initials at the bottom of someone that I have no idea who it is. But I thought that was kind of interesting. The recipe is exactly the same with the exception of Aunt Lil's had a can of cream of chicken soup in addition to the cream of mushroom soup that was in the recipe that was printed in the book and what my mom used. Also, I knew it was the same recipe because of the wording. It was exactly the same as far as how to prepare it, including frizzle the meat. I had never heard that term before and I looked it up, and although they didn't have any explanations with ground beef, they did show thin sliced meat being cooked until it was curling and crispy. So sort of like bacon. So when you fry bacon, you're frizzling it. Anyway, let's get started. Now this is a coated pan, so I do not turn it on high because it will outgas leach poisons into your food. You want to keep it at medium, maybe a little tad over medium at the most. My range goes from 0 to 10. I have it on 6, so it's just a little bit over halfway. Also, I have a pot of water boiling, and that's about a gallon of water for a whole package of egg noodles. I'm going to be generous and put in at least a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. And I can already see that that's hot just from looking at the surface of the oil. Here is approximately 2 pounds of ground meat. I used a mixture of pork and beef because that's what I had on hand. So let's go on and do what the recipe says and frizzle this. Now it says to frizzle it and break it up with a fork so it doesn't clump. Now you can see the different colors. The pork is lighter, this is the beef that's darker, the pork is lighter here. Just going to throw all of that in. I have this wonderful tool that I picked up at Walmart. See, that's an X. You can just chomp, 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 and that breaks up the meat. It works awesome. Let me turn this so I can hold the handle while I do this. You don't add anything to the meat while you're frizzling it. I love that word. I googled it, looked it up. I had never heard the word before, but it is an actual cooking term. Take a look here. No, this isn't starting to turn frizzly yet where it's brown. We want it to sear, sort of like when you have a steak and it caramelizes because you're cooking it nice and hot. But I can hear it, it's starting now. I don't see it yet, but it does sound like it's doing the right thing. It's the liquid is evaporated. I don't see any liquid in here now. So it should just be moments before it's ready. Oh, this is broken up really nicely, little tiny chunks, nothing real big. This is going to work well in that casserole. Okay. It's just beginning to stick, so I'm going to turn the heat off, continue to cook it and monitor. Stir over at the other pot. Yeah, two-handed cooking. Now this recipe makes 2 1-quart casseroles. When my mom made it, we'd eat one and put the other in the freezer. So that's what I'm going to do today, is I'm going to make 2 and put 1 in the freezer. Okay, I'm going to turn the oven on to 350, but first always look in the oven. I keep one of my favorite skillets in the oven. I'm using the same pot that I cooked my noodles in. I let it cool real well before putting it on my counter. I sure don't want to crack the stone. So let's just get that in there. Oh, you can see where it's browned real nicely on the bottom, so they're going to be a little bit crispy. Of course, this is going to be in the oven with the cans of soup. Now, do not dilute the soup. It's straight out of the can. But they'll be in the oven, so this will soften up a little bit, but still have a little bit of crisp, which is what you want. Okay. Now I'm not using all of the noodles because, as I said, this calls for a 10-ounce package. All I could find was the 16-ounce package. So we're going to leave quite a few of the noodles behind. And if we end up needing a few more, I'll just put them back in. That looks about it. Separate those just a bit. Okay, here's the celery. And onion. Okay, I'm going to wash my hands real quick. I've got a spatula to empty the cans of soup. Since I'm not adding any liquid to them, they'll be a little bit stuck down in there. Okay. And this is the cream of mushroom soup, which if you use it, you're familiar with that funky color. Blech. And I don't care for mushrooms, but boy, this stuff does do a number on dishes that you're cooking, that it just adds a nice flavor. My mom makes a dish where she uses golden mushroom soup. I'll try to find that recipe. And the cream of chicken. Nice yellow, which we're used to seeing. Oh, there I'm doing that uplift in my voice. That kind of annoys me when I hear people do that too much. So I will try to not, because I don't want to annoy anyone. Okay. Salt. I have a grinder here. Now keep in mind there is salt in both of those soups. So you don't want to overdo it, and that's quite a bit, probably a good teaspoon, maybe more. Oops, I guess I'll wash that before I put it back on the salt shaker. And grind some pepper. And oh, that's about a half a teaspoon. It's not a whole lot. Of course, we don't want to over pepper it. And we can always add salt and pepper at the table if it's not enough. So just to make sure we got everything, I've got the onion, the celery, the meat, the soup, the almonds, almost forgot that, the noodles, and salt and pepper. So this is 1 cup of almonds. I'm going to use about half of the container because the cans are not a full cup. My recollection, I couldn't find anything about them. I probably just didn't search long enough on Google. But a good handful. That will make them good and crunchy. Yeah, that's about half the container. And we stir them up. Well, might as well do it with the spatula since it's already... Nah, it's too flimsy. Let's get the spoon. Stir it all together. Oh, it actually smells pretty good. It smells like I remember it. We want it to blend really nicely. Don't want those noodles stuck together. I have my finger way down on there because I don't want to break my spoon handle, because this is pretty tough. It's very thick. It's cool enough I could probably stick my hand in there, but I don't really want to get this goop all over my hands, to be honest. Now I have 2 casserole dishes, which is basically an oven baking dish. If you're not familiar with the term, casserole is a French word that means dish. And they are liberally buttered. It told me to butter the dishes. So this one's a 1.5 quart. Says so on the bottom. It's a Pyrex. It's probably from the 1950s. And let's see, what's going to be the easiest way to do this? Let me rinse my hand off. I got a little bit of that soup on the thumb. Now, since this is nice and cool, I'm able to hold it. But let's go on and start getting it in the dish. And I have another dish that looks like it might be a 2 quart, but it does not state it on the bottom. Normally these dishes will tell you how big they are, or what the volume is. Okay. Let's get this other one over here. We may end up with a little extra, which there's room to put more in that other dish. I just didn't want to make this one too small. Yeah, let's see. Okay, aren't those pretty? And I'm constantly cleaning up behind myself because I don't like cooking with a mess all around me. Okay, the next step is just to throw them in the oven for 350 for about a half an hour. Now this one I'm going to keep out and put in either the fridge or the freezer. If I put it in the fridge, I'll share it with someone within the next couple of days. Okay, let's dish some up. Oh, that looks good. Smells good. It smells delicious. Well, let's see how it turned out. It smells just like I remember it. Boy, it looks tasty. Let's see. Oh yeah. Comfort food from my childhood. Man, like I said, I haven't had this in 35 or 40 years. First time I've ever tried to fix it myself, and I love it. So easy, fix you some. Go on and dish yourself up a plate. See ya.